Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you test their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Hell, wait till you have those half-pound Wagyu burgers. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, welcome in to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, everybody on television, and also everybody streaming, and on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out, folks. Fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you can answer a very simple trivia question. Which one of these three are the tallest structures in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it the very large Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino right here in Las Vegas? If you know the answer, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. If you know the answer, by the way, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that question, if so, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, the extended applause for them being for everybody that wants to travel. I mean, folks, that's a pretty easy question, and let's face it. Vegas is a fun place. Orlando's a fun place. Branson's a great place. There's all kinds of great travel to be had out there. And me personally, I guess if I had a choice, of course, I'm in Las Vegas, so that's my home, and I live here, so maybe I'd want to go to Branson, Missouri. And if you've never been to Branson or if you don't know anything about Branson, you better check it out, folks. It is essentially what Nashville was from a tourism standpoint, in my opinion, probably about 30 or 40 years ago, maybe even longer than that. So nice intimate setting, great family environment, lots to do over there too. So what's weird, it's kind of like a Nashville, but it has the same fun family things like the Wisconsin Dells for everybody in the Midwest, if you know what that is, or the same thing like Myrtle Beach. Lots of cool things for families to do there too. So Branson's one of those cool choices that, frankly, it's not as crowded as Orlando or Las Vegas, but they still have first-run entertainment there. Anyway, all right, I'm just getting off on a tangent there, so just ignore that right now. Let's get into college basketball. We haven't done a college basketball show yet this season. Now we're going to start doing college basketball on a regular because, let's face it, college football is starting to wind down a little bit. We're getting towards the end. And by the way, I have to bring this up just a little bit. When we think about this college football playoff thing, I swear I will not stay on this for segments and segments. I looked at the proposed bracket or the ongoing bracket, if you will, and much not to my surprise, the bracket looks like this currently after the NCAA, the NCAA has nothing to do with this, after the College Football Playoff Committee, whatever that means, actually voted on this. And right now, as it stands, 1 through 12, we have the matchups in the corners, in the upper left corner, upper right corner. So the upper left corner, which is the number 1 seed and the number 4 seed, the right side, of course, being the 2 and 3, they're awaiting the winners of the other games. So in the first round, right now, Oklahoma at the number 8 would host Notre Dame. Now, on the bottom of that bracket, Tulane is the number 12, and they would travel to Lubbock, Texas to play the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Now, the winner of that game would play Georgia in, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the Orange Bowl. I'm pretty sure that's the Orange Bowl. Or it could be the Cotton Bowl. Probably, actually, I think it's the Cotton Bowl. And the top one, which was Notre Dame or Oklahoma, would play Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. So the winner would go there. On the other side of the bracket, with the upper right side, Alabama would travel to Oxford, Miss to play Ole Miss, and the winner would meet Indiana in the Sugar Bowl. And so now the Orange Bowl would be the third-ranked team, or Texas A&M, and the winner of that game, or the winner of, better yet, the Miami, who is currently 11, at Oregon, number 6, would travel to the Orange Bowl to play Texas A&M. And that's what it looks like right now. But Tulane, look, here's my problem with this. Look, good for Tulane and the Green Wave. I'm fine with them. But I'm a little disappointed in the committee. Because first of all, if you look at the other group of 5, because they're supposed to take the number 1 or the best group of 5 team. Well, right now, the best group of 5 team is James Madison, the James Madison Dukes. And in my opinion, they haven't voted for them because they play way out in, well, let's put it this way. They're about 100 miles away, west to southwest, somewhere in the Shenandoah Valley. And that is nowhere near a big, it's not even in a big media market. Unlike Tulane is, of course, New Orleans. That's a bigger media market. And so therein lies the problem. Now, if they go on, I guess, other attractive teams, North Texas, the Mean Green, they also are 9-1 right now. And they're 9-1, actually they're 10-1, if I'm not mistaken. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter, 9-1. They're one-loss teams. So both James Madison and North Texas, 2 teams that are likely going to win their conferences, they should be given more consideration over Tulane. And honestly, when you look at Tulane in the CFP rankings, they're down to number 24. Unfortunately, James Madison, with a better record, is not even in the rankings. And the same thing with North Texas, the Mean Green. And so therein lies a real problem, in my opinion. Hopefully that's going to switch around. I'd like to see James Madison or even North Texas. I mean, North Texas would be a good option for the college football playoff because, number 1, they are in the Dallas Metroplex. So that big, greater Dallas market. Now, that would make real sense from a TV revenue standpoint. And I don't know, maybe James Madison doesn't make that, but they are the true Cinderella of this potential tournament here. And you got to have Cinderella at the dance, if you know what I mean. So we'll see. Will Cinderella get a shot, or is the alleged Cinderella going to be a team with more losses than Cinderella? They're basically not a prettier face, not a better personality, and all this other fun stuff. And that's what I have to say about this nonsensical playoff ranking, because let's face it, they have the first 2 teams out as Brigham Young and Utah. And last I checked, Brigham Young only has 1 loss. That's right, 1 loss. And that loss was to Utah, if I'm not mistaken. No, that was Texas Tech's loss. Wait a minute. Was it Texas? Yeah, Texas Tech lost to Utah. Brigham Young lost a tough game as well. And when you look back at what they have done, you ask, where have they gone wrong? What is it that BYU doesn't bring to the table? And I guess that is really what I'm after, because honestly, I don't really see where they have faltered in the grand scheme of things. And in fact, their loss came to Texas Tech, as I seem to recall. So if their loss came to Texas Tech, well, Texas Tech did lose at Utah. I don't know. I mean, look, Utah is a 2-loss team again. Brigham Young is a one-loss team. Texas Tech is a one-loss team. Texas Tech lost to Utah. They're ranked number 5. Utah does have 2 losses, thus they're all the way down at 13. I kind of get that, but for BYU, that makes no sense because they have 1 loss, and above them are 2-loss Alabama, 2-loss Notre Dame, 2-loss Oklahoma as well. Now that makes 0 sense. How about Vanderbilt? Why isn't Vanderbilt in the mix? I mean, look at the SEC teams that are in there. That's right. Alabama's there. Oh, well, Alabama beat them a nail-biter. All right? And Oklahoma's in there. So, I don't know. This whole thing is a big steaming pile of you-know-what. So I'm going to get away from this college football playoff garbage. In my opinion, that's what it is right now. So we're going to go back to college basketball. I just wanted to mention that as far as the college football playoff because it's kind of winding down and the bowl games are going to be coming up soon and so forth. Anyway, all right, over to the top 25, and here's what we're going to do before we go into the top 25. Those receiving votes, then we're going to go to break. The Buffalo Bulls have a vote in the top 25. Vatek gets a couple. Oak State, the Cowboys, get a couple. Thank God for that because their football team is atrocious right now. The Blue Jays of Creighton get a few. Santa Clara get themselves a few votes. Clemson gets 6. Iowa 6. Mississippi 10. USC, that's Southern Cal, not South Carolina, they get 10. Baylor 14. Utah State 16. Missouri 20. Ohio State 26. Nebraska 27. St. Mary's 27. Georgetown 31. Oregon 31 votes. Kansas 34. And Wisconsin 45 votes. Back here in a few minutes talking about the top 25 here in college basketball. Don't go anywhere.
Stop it! Excellent. Stop it!
My, isn't this an awkward moment?
You and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 814-948-0100 or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, including our friends waking up with us over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, over in Auburn, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, everybody tuning in, driving home probably, or somewhere in the evening time, 7 p.m. Thanks for listening in on WAUD, that's home of the Atlanta Braves, up and down the Midwest, all the way out to the West Coast. Those driving between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, on Interstate 15, listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM, home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. And a big hello to our friends over in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, that's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus all those watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectra, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets where applicable. Thanks for doing that. Same thing on Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms. And, of course, everybody streaming. By the way, if you're just tuning in earlier in the show, Vacation Buddies gave us the opportunity to give you, the listener, a couple of nights in Las Vegas, in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you were able to answer a pretty simple trivia question. Now, if you're just tuning in, here is the question. If you know the answer, call the telephone number right afterwards. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it C, the Fontainebleau gigantic hotel right across from Circus Circus right here in Las Vegas? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that simple trivia question. And if you're wondering, by the way, how in the world do you have one building and two structures that are not actual hotels? Well, it's because the Fontainebleau Hotel is the largest building in Las Vegas. Now, it could also potentially be the largest structure. But if you know, call that number, have some fun. Vacation Buddies wants to do something nice for you. And guess what? You heard it right here on the Sports Circus. All right, that said, I'm going to get into the top 25. Already covered those receiving votes. This is the college basketball. College hoops is upon us. And this is a great thing because you know why? Anybody, we don't have this Division I, Division II. We don't have to worry about these group of 5 schools and all this other stuff like that. No, the small schools can get in there too. And I love that. So you don't have to be like this situation with James Madison when they should be in the CFP playoff. That's the reason I brought it up. A school like James Madison can make the big dance and they can make the big splash. That's where Cinderella really has appeared. And even when I went to law school at the Loyola University of Chicago School of Law. And what's great about that is, yeah, I graduated, but anyway, that's not what's great for you, the listener. What's great about that is even they won an NCAA tournament, and that was back in 1967. They won it all. They won the big dance. And I love the fact a small school, they don't have a football team or anything like that, but guess what? They can win it all, just like the schools, the power schools that don't have football teams really, like Gonzaga. right? Gonzaga, very good year in and year out. St. Mary's, very good year in and year out. Santa Clara, very good year in and year out, and so forth. So the little schools get a chance in this, and I absolutely love that. All right, so going to the top 25, and this is the Associated Press. They say currently, and basically we're 5 games in, we'll just call it that, Indiana is number 25 at 5-0. Vanderbilt, 5-0, previously unranked, both of those two at number 24. And NC State, 5-1, so they played 6 games. They previously were at 25, so they jump up a couple of slots there. And just ahead of them at number 22 is the Arkansas Razorback basketball team. And Arkansas is no joke, man. These guys can ball. So they were previously number 21. Now they're 22, probably because of that loss. Auburn, War Eagle. All right, Auburn, let's go. At 4-1. And, you know, they had a hard time against Michigan. But guess what? Auburn's going to be there at the end. These guys are good, and they can ball. Texas Tech comes in at number 20 at 4-2. They've got 2 losses. They're right there. Same thing with Kentucky. They have 2 losses, number 19. Kentucky is previously ranked number 12, so they tumbled down 7 spots. Texas Tech tumbled down 5 spots. UCLA, 5-1. They jumped up 1 slot to number 18. Tennessee, they go up 3 slots. Rocky Top is now 5-0 and number 17. Carolina is 5-0, previously number 18, jump up a couple. Iowa State, they dropped 1. Actually, no, they went up 1. Strike that. The Cyclones went up 1. They only have 4 games under their belt. They are 4-0, number 15. St. John's, they used to be the Redmen. Now they're the Red Storm. I don't know. They're the Red something or another. Maybe they're just the St. John's Red. I don't know. Anyway, St. John's, previously number 14. They're still number 14 at 3-1. Illinois, Fighting Illini, a very good squad. They did drop 5 slots, but they are 5-1. They just recently had a loss, but that's okay. They'll be around for quite a while. Gonzaga, who I mentioned just a little bit ago, they jumped up 1 from number 13 to number 12. They're 5-0. Michigan State goes up 6 slots from number 17 to number 11. They are undefeated as well. Now we're getting into the really good teams here. Florida, 4-1. They stayed the same, and they are still number 10. Brigham Young jumps up? No. Brigham Young falls? No. They stay the same at 4-1. They're 9. They were previously 9th, and they're still number 9. Alabama goes up 3 slots to number 8 at 3-1, and they're right behind in the rankings and the points for the voting. Alabama, number 8, and they jump up 3 slots as well. So Alabama, right on their heels, is Brigham Young. Strike that as Alabama. Michigan is number 7. Michigan is only 10 points ahead of Alabama, but guess what? That's going to change in the next voting because Michigan is, unfortunately, they gave Auburn the business in the Tuesday night game, which doesn't really go well for War Eagle. Nonetheless, moving on. Number 6 is Louisville, 5-0. They were 6. They still are 6. UConn, 5-1. They were number 3, and now they're number 5 because Duke, yes. And, of course, a nice round of applause for my graduate school, one of them. Yes! That's my patented yes! So don't use it unless you let me know. So Duke is number 4 at 7-0. They jump up 1 slot. Houston is 5-0. They were previously number 2, but they did fall 1. They did get 4 first-place votes. Arizona is number 2. They jump up 2 slots. They did get 11 first-place votes, but they all trail Hail Purdue. And the Purdue Boilermakers at 6-0, previously number 1, and still number 1. Yes! Yes! Why am I so excited about it? Because, hey, sorry, a little bit of home cooking there. I did go to Purdue for undergrad, so guess what? I do bleed old gold and black on some days. Other days I do bleed Duke blue, and other days I will bleed Loyola's colors as well, which are that maroon and yellow. So, hey, listen, give me a break, folks. I mean, they got my money, so why not root for the teams that are from the universities that got my money?
Show me the money!
That's funny stuff. All right, but anyway, these are squads that are certainly worth it. I mean, look, Purdue is awfully, awfully tough. I mean, those guys, They simply have reloaded, and they are number one again. They were number one most of the year last year. It was a heartbreak for them, tournament out. But I'll tell you what, Purdue is set to be right back there in the Final Four. Man, those guys can play. If you've been watching college basketball over the last few years, you got to remember, they had big Zach Edey a couple of seasons ago finishing up. And so they had to reload without him, which they have. Now they've got another giant 7'4" player, and this guy is awfully good as well. When you look at Purdue basketball, you say, well, why are they so good? Well, first of all, they are very, very well coached. That's the first thing you have to think about. Matt Painter really has an incredible way of coaching. He is just one of those guys. You think of Gene Cady for all those years at Purdue. And Gene Cady, obviously it's Cady Court at this point. But you look at what they've done, and these guys play because they're well coached. They play well. They don't lose their minds. They don't get out of control. And you say, well, all right, well, what have they done? What have they done? Well, I'll tell you what they have done. When you look at what they've done this season, well, they did beat Alabama. And they did beat Memphis. And they destroyed Texas Tech. They beat Texas Tech by 30, in case you're keeping score. Now, we go back to that ranking. Oh, that's right. Texas Tech, at that time, was ranked right around the top 10. So they beat 2 top 10 teams already. And they, for the last several years, they have done very, very well against the top 10. All right, back here with more College Hoops in just a few moments right here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors Winners who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven, gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, or recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, and a whole bunch of others. The list is ridiculous. Anyway, also, when you're at thesportscircus.com, make sure you check out our upcoming guests, the prior guests, like I said, but also the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. In fact, our favorite is Al's number one Italian beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you know the city, it's over by a street called Racine, so it's not too terribly far from the University of Illinois at Chicago, the downtown campus there. And also, by the way, if you can't get over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can read all about the creation of the Italian beef sandwich by their family 117 years ago, the first known creators of it. And their restaurant first opened up way back in 1938, and they're still doing it. Folks, it is incredible. I saw a video on it. In fact, it was on television. In fact, it was a distributed TV show that was a random individual just going around talking about food from this place, food from that place, and this individual was traveling from the East Coast, and he had gone over to Chicago on a stopover, and somebody said, well, hey, while you're there, you've got maybe 6 or 7 hours or something like that on an international flight. Why don't you go into the city, go have some good food? And so this person said, okay, I'm going to do it. And they went over to one of the locations, because Al's number one Italian beef is actually all over the city, but the main and the original is on 1079 West Taylor Street. That's the one that I go to, and that's the one... well, frankly, it's the one that I like to go to. They're all good, but it's the ownership is there from the family. But anyway, so this person had in their brain they were going to compare it to a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Well, you know, I've had a lot of those Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Some of those are pretty good. So I was watching that person watch it being made, the Italian beef sandwich. And he was like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen beef so thin you could just about see through. It's like it's translucent. And I've never seen a sandwich dunked in the au jus. I've never seen a sandwich with the giardiniera hot peppers put onto the sandwich. Me personally, I like just the hot oil, not the peppers. I just like hot oil for the extra flavor. But when this guy bit into it, it was kind of like he was hearing the chorus sing. And he had said, I've never had a sandwich like this in my life. I was scared because it was wet. It looked real messy. And then it literally took him 3 minutes to eat it. 3 minutes to eat the sandwich. And I know that feeling because, folks, once you pick it up, because it is a challenge for sure, but when you pick it up, you don't want to put it down because you'll go through a few napkins for sure. But the taste is so damn good. You don't understand it until you have it. It's not one of those fried sandwiches like they have some poor cut of beef on a flat top. They throw some cheese whiz on it, put a little peppers in it, slap it on a bun, and send you on your way. That's how that Philly cheesesteak is. This is actual cooking. It takes 20-odd hours for the beef to be made for this, and it sits in its own juices. It is absolutely incredible. I don't get anything for saying this. I'm telling you because it's that good. And folks, I want everyone to try it because everybody raves about this other sandwich, but they say, a sandwich is a sandwich. No, it's not. Because when you try something like this, it will change how you look at certain kinds of food. And believe me, there's a difference between fast food and real cooking. And this is real cooking. Check them out again. Al's #1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it over there, visit them at alsbeef.com. All right, so we went over the top 25, and welcome back, by the way, to everybody. You know who you are, TV and radio. We went over the top 25 in the last segment, and you say, all right, well, geez, they've only played basically 6 games. Well, this is when these conferences start to take shape, and I'm not talking about conference play. What I'm talking about is positioning for the NCAA tournament, and I'm going to get to that in the next segment. But as we look at the conferences, as they start to take shape, you say, all right, quality wins. And so this team is maybe 10-1 in the conference, but they haven't done hardly anything against the other teams that were on their schedule. This is when it actually means something. Just like in college football, there are tune-up games before the big game. And in fact, Auburn just had a tune-up game. Alabama just had a tune-up game against Eastern Illinois, whatever. And Auburn had their tune-up game, and they're gearing up for what? For the Iron Bowl, right? And so these cupcakes that some of these college basketball teams to play to warm up a little bit and to get some W's under their belt, build a little confidence. Well, some of these teams here that I'm going to go through, but for example, in the American East and the AAC, the A10, and so forth, and the ASUN, you got to realize that these squads are those tune-up games, some of these. But some of these are really good squads. And here's the thing. So I'm looking at the American East right now, the standings. And you say, well, geez, nobody's played a conference game yet. Yeah, you're right. However, you look at overall. Let's take a look at UMBC. You're like, well, what do we know about UMBC? Well, I'll tell you what we do know. What we do know is that UMBC is not a cupcake. That's the first thing you need to know. Because that's the old, you may remember, Baltimore County, University of Maryland. Now remember, they had the enormous upset over #1 seed in the entire NCAA tournament, Virginia, a few years back. And you say, well, all right, well, they're in this conference. But guess what? UMBC right now is, well, they're 0-0. But you say, well, who do they play? Well, in their conference, they play Albany and Binghamton and Maine and Bryant and New Hampshire, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Vermont, and UMass Lowell. Okay, well, there's no real teams that stand out there, but UMBC, this is why it's important. You look at, they're 4-2 before they even begin conference play. They look pretty darn good in the grand scheme of things when you look at what they've done and who they play in their non-conference schedule. That's why this is important. So if you look at their non-conference schedule, well, guess what? They play one of the Penn State schools. They played the Dayton Flyers, a very good squad, and they played them to a 6-point tough loss. They beat Morgan State at Morgan State. They beat Wagner. They played George Washington, so they're not playing cupcakes. And they just beat the hell out of one of the Notre Dame squads. So why does it matter? It matters because the non-conference schedule matters when they're trying to pick those at-large teams. So yeah, nobody has won anything. And guess what? When you look at the other teams in this conference, you say, well, who else is worth a damn in here? Well, it looks like NJIT, which happens to be the Highlanders from New Jersey Institute of Technology. You say, well, okay, well, they're 4-3 in their non-conference schedule so far. Something tells me that's pretty darn good. They beat Fordham at Fordham. They lost to Tufton to Fairfield at home. They beat Loyola Maryland on the road. They beat FDU, and they lost a tough one to Drexel and to Navy. And by the way, they just lost to Cincinnati. But look at the teams that they play against. Their losses, they have 3 losses, or 4 losses. They have quality losses. It's kind of hard to say that. But you look at who's on their schedule. So let's just say they may be a second-place team or third-place team in their division. Why does it matter? And I'm saying at the end of the season, it matters because how do they do in their non-conference games? Did they play Cupcake City or did they play teams that matter? That's why this stuff matters. And you say, well, geez, Maine hasn't won a game. The Black Bears haven't won anything. And they're not even in conference play yet either. They're 0-6 outside the conference. So that doesn't look good. They've got to win the conference to make the tournament. Over in the American Athletic, and you've got teams that have already played 8 games. UAB has already played 8. They're 6-2. There's no games played yet in the division. But UAB is already 6-2. Whereas Rice, who's right behind them, just whatever, they're 2-6. So UAB looks a hell of a lot more attractive. And you know who else does in this division? Wichita State. They're already 4-1 before conference play starts. South Florida's 3-2. Temple's 3-2. And these are the teams that you say, well, whoa, what about Tulsa? The Golden Hurricanes are 5-1. Tulane is 4-2. Florida Atlantic's 5-1. North Texas is 4-2. Memphis an abysmal 1-4. That's Penny Hardaway's club. But when you look at these, you say, well, geez, there's a lot of teams that are tournament worthy in this conference, in the American Athletics. So this is one of those group of 5s. And something tells me you're going to see 1, maybe 2, possibly 3 schools. One will be a division winner, and you may see 2 others depending on what the rankings look like as we go forward. Back here with the standings here for the NCAA Hoops. Don't go anywhere.
Stop it!
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, our CBS, NBC, Fox, and independents from coast to coast, radio, television, hotel TV, and select markets. Of course, cable television in select markets as well. Everybody on Chicago Food Favorites, thanks for doing that, joining us here on the Sports Circus. And by the way, a big welcome in to everybody that has joined us through the sportscircus.com. We have big news coming here, folks. I can't get into the details just yet, but it looks like something pretty significant is going to happen next Monday. Likely there will be a press release to follow as well. So watch out for that at the sportscircus.com. In fact, you'll find the press releases on the About page, on the About tab at the top of the page for the website. So make sure you look out for that too. And by the way, if you happen to be there at the website, make sure you check out the store. Lots of great gift ideas, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, sweat coats, other coats, beanie hats, baseball caps, pillows, blankets. What else do we have? Travel mugs, coffee mugs, mouse pads, all kinds of cool stuff with the Sports Circus logo. By the way, they're American-made products as well. Yes! We always like to promote American-made products. And by the way, everything is shipped relatively quick. So all items, for the most part, all clothing items, everything is embroidered with the Clever Sports Circus logo on them. And if you want to know more about that, info at thesportscircus.com, and I'll give you the details of it. But nonetheless, check out all those wonderful items at thesportscircus.com's store. A shameless plug for the circus. How do you like that? All right, back here with the college basketball. It's kind of like a preview, but not really a preview. I mean, they've already been playing 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Like I'm in the American Athletic Conference. That's where I left off. And the AAC, you're going to probably see 3 teams here from this conference in the big dance. Moving on to the Atlantic 10. Now, I know my Loyola Ramblers are over there, and, well, they're sputtering about. They're not really playing so well, and they're sputtering about at 1-6 so far this season. But, you know, people say, well, geez, they're not very good. Well, they may not be very good, but at the same time, when you look at the schedule and you say, well, why are they in this conference in the first place? Look, they're worthy of it. Remember, just a few years back, they were in the Final Four, in case you're not paying attention. But Loyola has played a pretty good schedule so far. And you say, well, why are they only 1 win on the good side? Well, and that was against Cleveland State. That's a much improved Cleveland State team. And they did lose a real bad game to Mercyhurst. I don't even know how they lost that. They lost by a bucket to North Texas. They lost by, well, a little bit more to Wichita State, a very good squad. And they lost to Colorado State, a very good squad. They lose to Northern Illinois, which is a head-scratcher there. They lost to Northern Iowa, a very good squad as well. So they've got quality losses. Why does it matter? For the same reason I mentioned for some of the other squads. Although they have not won a bunch of games, they have a much tougher non-conference schedule than some of these other squads. But looking up and down here, the teams that are undefeated right now, you have George Mason, who is 6-0. Richmond, the Spiders, are 5-0. And this is in non-conference play in the Atlantic 10. The St. Louis Billikens are 5-0. Now, Davidson, a very good squad, is 5-1, and they're not too terribly far from Duke University. And that, in fact, Davidson is where Steph Curry went to school, if I'm not mistaken. And at 5-2 is Rhode Island. 6-1 is George Washington. The Dayton Flyers are 5-1. Fordham is 4-2, and LaSalle is 3-3, along with St. Joe's at 3-3, and Duquesne is 4-2. So Loyola moved up in conference, and I mean they're holding their own. They just didn't get off to a good start, but they are a quality squad. Now over the ACC, looking at what these teams have done, you expect most of these teams to be on the plus side as far as the non-conference schedule. The only team that's not is Boston College. Everybody else is on the plus side. And undefeated, of course, is Duke at 7-0, Carolina 6-0, Louisville 6-0, SMU 7-0 as well, and a bunch of one-loss teams there. So the ACC, there will be several teams out of the ACC that go to the big dance. Now over in the A-Sun, you've got Eastern Kentucky, Central Arkansas, West Georgia, Florida Gulf Coast. Now, you remember those guys are pretty darn good. They're 5-2 in their non-conference schedule so far. North Alabama, Stetson, Queens, New York, Lipscomb, and Austin Peay, North Florida, the Osprey, Jacksonville, and another. So when you look at the teams that are good in this conference, I mean, geez, there's plenty of them. And again, college basketball doesn't fall into the same nonsense like the college football playoff. Anybody could get in there. So you could see Florida Gulf Coast, which we've seen them. In fact, Florida Gulf Coast, I think they made the Final Four a handful of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, either that or the Elite Eight. But Florida Gulf Coast, you're like, huh? What? Who? What? Do they have a football team? No, they don't. But you say, well, geez, those guys are pretty darn good, and they're probably the class of the A-Sun right now. Watch out for them. And I would also say, believe it or not, Austin Peay may surprise somebody, because Austin Peay is a pretty good squad, been flying under the radar for a long time. Over in the Big 12, you're going to see the same thing there as in the ACC. Everybody is over 500 there. And so now what you're looking for is the amount of losses and who they played in their non-conference schedule, how many were cupcakes, and you look at these losses, you say, well, geez, I mean, who has – Kansas got a couple of losses, right? So you say, well, geez, what about Kansas? What do we know about Kansas basketball right now? Well, I'll tell you what we do know is that Kansas, year in and year out, blue bloods, they're good every year. Somehow, some way, they may lose a game here or there, but Kansas is good every year. And think about their two losses. They lost to Duke 78-66, and they also lost one other game, and that was to what? Carolina. So they lose, a blue blood loses to two blue bloods. And so those two losses, those are quality losses. I mean, albeit a 12-point loss to Duke, they lost by 13 against Carolina, which that's not great. But you say, well, who have they beaten so far in non-conference play? Well, they beat Notre Dame. And, of course, that always gets an astounding round of applause. Yes! So they beat them, and they also beat, well, one cupcake. That was Texas A&M. Yeah, it wasn't the real Texas A&M. It was actually Texas A&M CC. And so they also beat, well, another cupcake in Green Bay. And, oops, yeah, that's it. They beat Princeton. I'll give Princeton not an oops, but they did beat Princeton. So they've got, I don't know, a couple of decent wins, but they beat those guys from South Bend, and they beat Princeton, who plays a pretty good brand of defense. So those non-conference losses are not bad losses, although they're 4-2. I mean, that's against Duke and Carolina, so that's pretty darn good. So that is the Big 12 in a nutshell, and who knows what's going to happen there. I mean, look, Duke is probably going to end up winning that, or not Duke, I should say. I would argue that Baylor, Iowa State will be at the top. Arizona will probably be right there in the finals for the conference title. Arizona's awfully good. Those guys can play. All right, moving on to the Big East. Creighton, the Blue Jays, Butler, Providence, Marquette, UConn, Xavier, St. John's, Georgetown, Seton Hall, DePaul, and Villanova. You know, the funny thing about DePaul is, I mean, you know, growing up in Chicago, I look at DePaul and say, well, they were good way back in the day under Ray Meyer. That's way back in the time machine. But when they moved conferences, I mean, DePaul does not, in my opinion, belong in the Big East. They're beating teams they should beat, like Detroit Mercy, yeah. Gardner-Webb, yeah. But they lost to their crosstown rival, Northwestern, and that was on their home court. They lose to the Buffalo Bulls, and they got killed there. And, yeah, they beat Cupcake Stonehill, but not by much. And they beat Chicago State, who they should beat. So DePaul is a terrible, in my opinion, they're a terrible basketball team year in and year out, and I don't even know why they're in the Big East. Nonetheless, but the cream of this crop is usually Creighton, Marquette, UConn. And, well, right now, Georgetown and Seton Hall are playing good basketball, too. So is Villanova. All right, over in the Big Sky Conference, that's Portland State, Idaho, Eastern Washington, Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks, one of the great names, Weber State, Montana, Idaho State, Montana State, and Sac State. And arguably the class in this division, I would probably argue that Northern Colorado is a pretty good squad this year. Eastern Washington not doing so well. But, folks, watch out for some of these squads here because, believe it or not, Montana may surprise a few people. Weber State is a pretty good squad, too. Portland State, I don't know about that. Over in the Big South, that's Winthrop, Longwood, High Point. High Point was really good last year. They're going to be very good again this year. They're in North Carolina. USC Upstate for University of South Carolina Upstate. Gardner-Webb, Radford, Charleston Southern, UNC Asheville, and Presbyterian. Yes, Presbyterian, a pretty good squad. The class in this group easily, in my opinion, is High Point. But also, there are a couple other good squads you need to watch out for here. And Longwood, believe it or not, has really done something good. And so is Winthrop. But this one is High Points to lose. Over in the Big Ten, of course, it's Purdue, Indiana, and in basketball, Purdue, Indiana, Michigan, and probably Michigan State. That's the class of the Big Ten. And we'll throw Illinois in there too. But right now it's Purdue leading the way. Then there's everybody else. Over in the Big West, UC Riverside, UC Irvine, Cal Poly, Long Beach State, CSUN for Northridge, Cal State Northridge, Hawaii, UC San Diego, UC Davis, UC Santa Barbara, Cal State Fullerton, and Cal State Bakersfield, the Roadrunners. That's kind of a fun one. But year in and year out, usually Long Beach State does real well, but UC San Diego is leading the way. UC Davis has been playing very good basketball, and so has Irvine. So watch out for those squads. Over in the Colonial, real quick, we got to go soon. Stony Brook, NC-A&T, two good squads there. And I would probably argue that Charleston, College of Charleston, a pretty good one as well. Watch out for them. The Drexel Dragons, great name, mediocre basketball. Conference USA, real quick, it's New Mexico State, the Aggies are going to play very well. So is Liberty. Watch out for those guys. In Western Kentucky every year, the Hilltoppers are good. Over in the Horizon League, where Loyola came from before, usually you've got some good basketball coming out of there. Detroit Mercy is a good one. Northern Kentucky is a very good one. Wright State, year in, year out, is very, very good. Over in the Ivy League, Princeton, and then everybody else. The Mid-East, watch out, in my opinion, watch out for Norfolk State. Those guys are good. Mid-American, there's a whole bunch of good teams. The Kent State Golden Flashes, Miami of Ohio, and the Akron Zips, believe it or not. Missouri Valley, real quick. Illinois State, actually, that's where Loyola came from. Illinois State's a good one, but Northern Iowa is the class of that division. In the Mountain West, I'm going to say it's Utah State. In the Northeast, I would probably argue it's not Chicago State to Long Island. And Ohio Valley, probably it would be Tennessee Tech. In the Patriot League, how about the Terriers of Boston U? That's all we have time for. We'll see you in 23 hours on your favorite station. So long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.